It is harder to manifest things out of lack. Not that you can't, you can, but it doesn't feel fulfilling when it comes in. It feels the exact opposite of fulfilling. And then you keep chasing and chasing and chasing this feeling that you want, that you're trying to get from this manifestation, but it's never, that feeling never goes away. So it continues to leave like a hole.
Welcome, everybody, to the 100th episode of Awakening Souls. We're so excited you could be here with us and celebrate. Woohoo, everybody, our 100th episode!
Yay!
So excited.
And what better way to celebrate our 100th anniversary than to talk about manifestation? Joy, happy, fun manifestation.
That's something that we talk about a lot too, is manifesting. I think it's one thing that has been a major focus for all of us, especially me. Manifestation is my bread and butter. I use it every day. But today we're really wanting to focus on no stress, no forcing manifestations, just flowing and allowing the universe to bring us what is naturally meant for us, bring that natural abundance towards us. Does anyone have any good examples of manifesting with ease?
I do.
Gimme.
Okay. Okay, so I have two examples of manifesting that jump into my mind. The first one's like an everyday occurrence. And I was in a hurry going to town last week, and we live far from town. So when we go to town, we have to stop everywhere and get everything all at once. I was on my last stop. I was getting tired, and I was going into Walmart. And for anybody that lives in Mountain Home, Arkansas, the Walmart is always crazy busy. And the parking lot is full no matter what time of day you go. And I pulled in and I got a parking spot right up front. And I was like, thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much, because it just was exactly what I needed. I just didn't have the energy to drive around and look for a spot. And that was like, and I love those little manifestations. And sometimes we don't even notice them, but those are the ones that can happen every day if we pay attention. And the more we notice them, the more they come in, which I think is really exciting. And then I have another one that's all about money and finances. So, my husband and I purchased a new home recently, and everything under the sun has been going wrong with this house. We love the house. We're happy to be here, but all of these surprise things come up for us to fix. And we have a budget or like a nest egg of things to spend on repairs, but I also have these fun projects I want to do. But we're getting more and more repairs, and we were both being really frustrated. So we sat down, I don't know, about a week ago and had a talk about it and just looked at where we were at financially and what projects we still had to get going on. And we're like, okay, maybe we don't do all the fun projects in the first year. Let's just relax about getting all these things done and give ourselves like 5 years to get them done. And so we just had that conversation. We kind of released that expectation of having to get everything done that needed to be done and that we wanted to do. And I kid you not, the next day I put on an old winter coat and I found $100 in the pocket. The next day. And I'm like, and I haven't worn this coat probably in a year at least. And so I'm like, woohoo. And that felt like just a little manifestation saying, yes, letting go of that control, letting go of the expectation, that little bit of surrender. And all of a sudden, money came in. And then the next day after I found that money, so this is like 2 days after we had that conversation, all of a sudden we got a reference for a handyman that could come in and do a lot of the repairs we wanted to get done for a very inexpensive price. In fact, one of the jobs that he's going to do for us, he's not going to hardly take any money at all because there's a machine that we want to get removed and he wants that. So he's just going to trade his work for the machine.
Ooh.
And so we get rid of this machine we don't want, and it helps to cover the cost of the repairs that he's going to make. So it's like by him and I letting go of that financial expectation and trying to do it all, it all of a sudden opened the doors for financial abundance to come in very
And in
quickly
Nice.
unexpected ways.
in unexpected ways. Yeah, I didn't get, a check in the mail, or I didn't get, a relative passing an inheritance or anything like that. It was just, yeah, cash in the pocket and somebody that could really help us out and save us a lot of money so that we do have the extra money to do the other projects that are the fun ones.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing to note too, is that when we release, we've talked about this before, the art of letting go, the art of releasing expectation. When we release expectation of how we want our manifestations to come in, it opens up the energetic field to allow those manifestations to come meet us where we're at. And it's going to come in really unexpected ways, ways that we wouldn't have been able to imagine, right? You would have never thought like, oh, the guy who's going to come fix our house is going to take this machine, right?
No, no,
Or that you would find $100 in your pocket.
no.
But by you and Bob being like, we're going to put this down, we're going to set this down, we're going to give it to the universe, we're going to let it go for now. You released all expectations and it opened up all portals, all energy forces that could come in and be like, oh, here we go. Here's a little exciting like wink from us here. And then here's another way that we're going to give you what you've been looking for.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. So, how about you guys? Do you have some examples of manifestations that you've created in your own lives?
I'm sure I have hundreds, but I can't
I
come
know,
up with
right?
them.
Can't think of them on the spot.
Uh-uh.
Um, I think my favorite one that I've talked about before is my manifestation of my house, which started with
Yeah.
my old house, which was like 140 years old. It was constantly having problems. It was too tiny for our growing family. And I started working with feng shui to help move stuck energy in the house because I wanted a bigger home for our family. But I didn't go into this with the intention of I want to move this out of this house. My intention was, how can I make this house be like the house, our forever house, and really love and care for this house right now? And by me doing that, not having expectations of how I was going to make the house work for our growing family, and by having fun and playing with the energy of the home and moving things around and like getting in that energy of love and abundance right now, we ended up selling our home within like 6 months of me making these changes. 24 hours, we put it on the market. Our house sold immediately. And within a month, we were moved out of that house and into a new house that was much bigger, much more fit for our growing family, and had all of the checks that we had for a house that we wanted. And it all came because of the work that I had done with the manifestation and the feng shui there in the beginning in our old house without the intention or the expectation of having to leave ever.
Yeah, I love that idea that we can be manifesting things that we don't even know that we want or need. And just by letting go, the universe is going to be like, "Oh, this is what's next for them on their list." And it's like it has everything at the ready, and we just have to let go of control enough to allow it to come in.
Yeah. Well, I also think like I had the house on my list, a new house with multiple bedrooms for all of our kids and a fence, like all those things were on a list. But I didn't actually believe that we would ever have the money to be able to afford a house like that. I didn't think that it would actually come true. So my intention was like, I have to let go of this becoming my reality. I can't cling to this idea and this dream. I got to try to make what I have right now already work and love the space I'm already in. So there was so much releasing of expectations. There was already loving and seeing the abundance where it was at in front of me, and that just opened up more space for the manifestation that I was calling in, that was on my heart, to come towards me. I wasn't out there chasing it.
So what it's really about is alignment, joy, and trust. So when you're relaxed and in a state of enjoyment, you become a magnet for what you desire. Resistance blocks and flow attracts.
That is such a powerful statement and so layered. There's so
Yeah.
much to unpack in that one statement.
Yeah. But it kind of speaks for itself.
I think the hardest thing I've had to learn about manifesting is I cannot force what I want to happen. I cannot force the things that I dream about to come to fruition. There is such an element of surrender and letting go that has to happen, and trust that whatever is meant for you is going to come in. There's like an element of detachment to what you want. And I think that is so hard because when we're thinking about manifestation, right, it's usually about the things that you really want, the dream life you want to have, or that material thing that you want to get. And so there is an element of attachment to that thing. There's a reason why you want that thing. Like for me, it's always been, I want like a wildly successful business that is helping hundreds of people find their authentic self and really like tap into their inner wisdom and their inner power. And I have held such I've held that vision in such a high regard that I've almost had this clingy like attachment energy to it. And that clingy attachment energy to it has always been like, validate me. I need this to happen in order for me to feel validated, for me to feel important, for me to feel worthy. And that energy that I have had has actually been the reverse of what I wanted. It's not giving me my manifestation. It's actually keeping me from my manifestation. And here's the thing. If there's something put on your heart, if there's a passion put on your heart, you have to trust that it's been put on your heart for a divine reason. So I've had to learn how to let go of the attachment of needing other people to validate me, needing success to validate me as a human being, and really shed all of those layers through a lot of freaking healing, a lot of healing, shedding
Mm.
all of the layers that said that I needed this thing to validate me in order to feel important and worthy. And once you start shedding all of the neediness, the attachment energy, that's when you get in that state of flow. That's when you get in that state of trust. And that's when you can see the manifestations finally starting to come in without having to force it.
So the key really is just to let go of the expectations. It's kind of like when you call in an order for pizza. You don't stress that that pizza's not coming. You know it's coming. You just kind of let go and you wait for it. You wait for that
Mhm.
pizza to be delivered.
Exactly.
So,
That's exactly what it's like. Yeah. And if this is where we need to start small, right? Like when we're first learning how to manifest, you want to build that trust muscle. So calling small things in that you already don't have an attachment to, like a pizza, like a new pair of shoes, like a prime parking spot.
mhm.
When you're going to the grocery store, like one right up front, you start with small manifestations that you don't have an attachment to, that you're like, it's okay if I get it. It's okay if I don't. I'm going to survive either way. And then watch how it starts to come in.
I can really relate to what you just shared, Candace. Being in the healing profession, and to do that profession, you need people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was first starting out and just so eager to help people, I was working with another business partner, and she was pulling in all kinds of bookings. And I had crickets coming in because I really hadn't developed a client base yet. And I just was starting. And that was so hard because I kept comparing myself to her. So comparison is kind of the thief to manifestation. So I kept comparing myself to her, and she would get client after client on a regular basis. And, I would get one every once in a while. And I finally had to get to the point where I decided what would be enough clients for me. And I put this little memory trick or mind trick, and I said, okay, if I have at least one booking coming up on my calendar, that's enough. That's all I want. And then I let it go. And so I'd get one booking and I'd celebrate. I'd be like, okay, good. I'm good for a couple of weeks. I don't have to get any more bookings than this. And I let go of that expectation. I made it very small. And all of a sudden, my bookings started increasing. all of a sudden I started getting maybe a couple bookings a week. And then it just kept rolling and rolling. And before I knew it, I was pulling in plenty of people to work with and loving every minute of it because I'd let go of that neediness, like you said, that watching for the next client to come in and work with me.
Mhm.
And you're right, you're not a healer if you don't have anybody to work with other than healing yourself, which is of course super important too, but yeah, that's yeah.
Well, I'm a Reiki healer with no clients. And I can say but I just want to say I heal more than just myself, not just me. I work on like trees, my husband, kids.
Mhm.
Right now I'm praying and sending healing and loving energy to Trump and Elon Musk and
Yeah.
and just
And
I
that's a
wanted to
really
say that.
good point, Jennifer. Just because I'm not seeing clients doesn't mean I'm not actually doing good healing work,
Right, right.
and at that point in my journey, I probably couldn't see that because I was so
Yeah,
super focused on wanting to develop my practice. So,
right.
but that's a really good point that, yeah,
Well, thank you.
yeah.
I think that it's important when you're manifesting that you need to get very clear about what it is that you're desiring, what it is that you're wanting. And then you have to get honest with yourself about why it is that you want it. And if it's coming from a wounded place, a place that feels like I need validation, I need this thing to validate that I'm worthy, or like I need this because I lack something somewhere else, or I'm lacking the love that I want in a relationship. And so I need this thing to fulfill what I'm not getting over here. If it's coming from a place of lack or lack of worth, then your manifestation is not going to feel fulfilling if it even comes in. It is harder to manifest things out of lack. Not that you can't, you can, but it doesn't feel fulfilling when it comes in. It feels the exact opposite of fulfilling. And then you keep chasing and chasing and chasing this feeling that you want, that you're trying to get from this manifestation, but that feeling never goes away. So it continues to leave like a hole. Very, very, ugh, the scarcity lack energy that comes
Mhm.
with that. But when you get clear about what you want and why you want it, and it's coming from a place of just authenticity, a place of true passion, of true desire, and it's not about fulfilling something, not about fulfilling a need or a lack, then manifesting, that's an easier way for you to release attachment to it because it's not about filling something else up. It's about just giving yourself what it is that's put on your heart and that you truly desire and that feels authentic for you. And then manifestation becomes easy because there isn't the same attachment to it.
How can our listeners tell if they're in the flow of manifestation or if they're forcing it?
Pay attention to the triggers. Pay attention to the triggers. Are there triggers? Is there jealousy when you're looking at other people who have the thing that you want? Is there pain that you feel when you think about wanting that thing and how you don't have that thing or how
So
that
that's
thing,
all forcing it. Yeah.
that's all that the triggers are the clues that are going to tell you whether you're in a needy energy or you're in the flow energy. If you don't
Hmm.
have those triggers, you're in the flow. You're okay either way. You know you're safe either way. You know you're loved either way. That you're going to be just fine if that thing comes in and just fine if that thing doesn't come in. The triggers are so important because the triggers are just the areas that are creating roadblocks for you in order for you to receive that manifestation. So you pay attention to the triggers. You can heal the triggers. You can heal the wounds that those triggers are coming from and then remove the roadblocks that are in the way of you getting that manifestation.
So those triggers could manifest things like overthinking, anxiety, self-doubt,
Definitely.
stuff like
I think
that.
so.
And
Yeah.
then, and if you're in the flow, you have the feelings of excitement. You see the synchronicities, trust. You feel trust.
And the other thing to look for is, are you trying to control the outcome?
Mhm.
Are you being controlling? Are you being very specific, or are you being more open to, I would like this to happen in my life, but I'm open to it happening in lots of different ways, and just allowing the universe to bring it to you in the way that is most likely not the way you think it's going to happen. At least that's been my experience with manifestation, is no matter what I want, it usually doesn't come to me the way I think it will, or the way I think I imagine it in my head. It's usually a surprise, which is just delightful.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the more I control it, yeah, that's not flow, that's resistance. And the more I let go and just allow it to come in, then the better I do. And the other thing that sometimes works for me with manifestation is if there's something specific that I want, it's like I used to think I could just think about it and it would just come to me. And I finally realized that that wasn't working. Nothing was coming to me. I actually have to do something to make it come to me. I need some kind of sacred action. Now, the sacred action may have nothing to do with the manifestation. The sacred action may be looking at my triggers, doing some inner healing work, creating space to bring that new energy, that new vibration in. Sometimes the sacred action is doing something in the physical, making a phone call, asking for advice. So there's always for me some kind of sacred action, but the sacred action may not lead to the manifestation directly, but me doing some kind of action tells the universe that, hey, yeah, I really do want this. And I'm willing to put in my work. I'm going to keep up my end of the bargain, work with me, and let's figure out how to make this happen.
And how do you know when it's time to have a sacred or to do a sacred action? Like, what's the thing that tells you that you need to put action in?
For me, it's usually a feeling. It's usually like I'll want something, and then for a while, I don't take action. I just think about it. And then all of a sudden, I wake up one day and I'm like, okay, it's time to move forward. And it's like my gut tells me, okay, I need to do something. And then I will usually just listen to my inner knowing or talk to my spirit guides or just do what feels right. And sometimes I screw it up. And I will take a sacred action that is in the wrong direction completely, and a door closes in my face. And I'm like, okay, well, message received. This isn't the right direction. And then later on, I might try something else. So it's also that not giving up if it doesn't happen right away, or if your sacred action doesn't create the results that you're wanting. That's just information. That's
You
just
know,
learning that it's not the right way, and I'm going to try something else.
well, I was going to say that your sacred action, if a door closes in your face, what emotion
Another.
did it bring up for you? Like, what was the trigger there for you? Because that might have actually been the right action for you to take, because there's another subconscious limiting belief that's kind of standing in your way between you
Mhm.
and your manifestation. So that trigger might have been needed for you to go, oh God, that did not like that, to go in to look at some woundings, to heal it, to remove any subconscious blocks. So that way you're clearing the pathway towards your manifestation. So I don't even
Mhm.
think, I think the wrong action is still the right action, because we can take it and see the lesson in it. We can take it and see, where did that hurt us? Where did that wound us? And how can I go in and heal whatever needs healing in myself? And I think that is like numero uno. You have to heal yourself. Healing the
Mhm.
self, coming back to your authenticity, coming back to your heart, is where you're going to be in the right vibration, the right state to receive all your manifestations.
Mhm.
It always comes back to that, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Mhm. Well, and I think also taking that sacred action is an act of courage. You actually are putting yourself out there and you're doing something, whether it is inner healing or taking an action in the physical world, or something else. That sacred action takes courage, and doing that expands your vibration, and
Mm.
it allows more to come in.
There's a fun little exercise that you can do, our listeners can do if they want to. It's called the Wouldn't It Be Cool If? So you just, wouldn't it be cool if I just got $1,000 check in the mail? Wouldn't it be cool if? And just do that, and you can stay in the flow and just see what the universe sends you. It's kind of cool.
Make sure that when you're asking for what you want, that you actually believe that you can have it. Because if you're asking outside of what you believe is could happen for you, you're not going to get it, because there will be too many subconscious limiting beliefs standing in the way of you getting it. So if you don't believe that you can have $100 actually come in the mail to you, or you for some reason don't believe that you're worthy of receiving 100 random dollars for no reason, you're not going to get it. But if
Well,
you,
you can
if you,
start small.
yeah, exactly.
Right,
Start
start
small.
small
Start with things that feel tangible and reachable and easy. Like,
and
oh, if I
aligned
find
with you. Yeah.
yeah, aligned with you. Perfect. If I find $1 laying on the sidewalk, or I'm given $1 today, then that was my manifestation. I called that in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get it, you receive it. Here's the other trick here. Don't gaslight yourself out of being like, "Oh, that was just random. That was just coincidence." That's how the universe works. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to work in synchronicities and in coincidences to give you what you're asking for.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun to start with things that you have no attachment to. Even
Mm-hmm.
money might be a hard one to start with.
Yeah.
So I like doing just, we did this activity once. What do we do? Oh, I know. One thing we did is we like, okay, in the next week, you're going to see a heart-shaped cloud. And that
Oh,
was
I
your
love that.
manifestation. And that was so much fun because it was like, okay, there's no pressure. It also forced you to spend more time looking at the sky, which was just lovely,
Mhm.
And then I think another one was just seeing a specific animal. Like you're going to see an owl. And so over the week, we just, had that. I'm going to manifest an owl. And it could be a real owl. It could be an owl on the side of a billboard. It could be, anywhere. And and I think what that does is it like programs your energy to attract those things into your world. And it starts building your faith. It's like baby steps.
Wouldn't it be cool if I saw a UFO today?
That would be cool.
It would be so cool.
I'm
Okay,
going to
I'm
be
gonna be
so mad when you text me later. You're like, "Hey, another UFO."
another one. I love it.
Oh.
So, for those of you listening, Jennifer is notorious for seeing UFOs. She is the only one of us who has seen multiple UFOs, and it is absolutely effortless for her. And I've been manifesting seeing one, but I don't believe that I'm going to see one, so I never see one. I've
You
seen
gotta stop that.
one my whole life.
Oh. So, what do you think of using visualization techniques? Because I know that's something that's out there. And there's a couple different ways, like creating a vision board where you're putting pictures of what you want, or maybe going into meditation and meditating and visualizing yourself receiving or interacting with the things that you want to manifest. Can that be helpful?
Personally, I love visualization for manifesting because you're putting yourself in your mind's eye. You're putting yourself in the situation where you've already received your manifestation. You're putting yourself in the emotion of receiving that manifestation. And I think that we talked about this so many times that the brain doesn't know the difference between what is reality and what is pretend in our mind or what is imagined. So by putting yourself already in it as if you've already received it, you're changing the chemistry of your body. You're changing your programming. You're changing the way your mind is going to see and perceive things. And so it's opening up the possibility of you receiving what you're manifesting in that way.
And have that complete gratitude when you're doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Have that gratitude.
I have an example that happened really recently. I have been manifesting one thing for the last 6 years, and I have worked to unblock and remove and heal, and it's been a journey. And I had received a vision very, very early on before I really started doing the healing of where I would be. And that felt so far away from me, so impossible. I kind of let go of the possibility of that ever happening. Recently, I was in a visualization manifesting what it would feel like to get the thing that I've been manifesting. And the energy and emotion in this vision was so different compared to all of the emotions I felt in visions about my future. Either the future feels so far out there that it's totally unbelievable, or I feel so like attached and like a longing for it and like oh, I just need that. I just want that kind of feeling. This time when I sat in this vision, it was total gratitude. And I was getting the thing that I've been manifesting. It was coming in with ease, and there was no feeling about the thing coming in. It actually had absolutely nothing to do with this manifestation coming towards me. It had everything to do with what that manifestation allowed me to have, which was freedom in with my family, freedom, financial freedom, creativity, freedom. And it was just this like sigh in my body, like a ah, here I am. I'm finally here. I've received. And it's just nothing but gratitude for what this manifestation was able to afford me with my family. And it was a really profound experience. It felt so different. And that feeling of gratitude that you were talking about, that's key.
Hmm. Beautiful. All right. So, what other manifestation techniques can we think of?
Yeah. What are some, Rose, you said visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan of that one, but what are some other things? You said vision boards. That's part of
Vision boards. Yeah, it's another one. And that's where you take, you know, back in the old day, you just got magazines and cut out magazine pictures. And I actually still have my vision board that I made out of magazines, probably about 5 years ago. And everything's come true on it except for one thing. So as soon as I get that last thing,
What's
then
the last thing I want to know?
you want to know the
Yeah.
last thing is getting goats.
Oh, yay.
And
You're
I'm going to
almost
have,
there.
I will have goats within the next couple of months. We're, putting the barn together right now and getting the fencing ready. And I just picked up the gates. And so, yeah, really
Yay.
close to that. So that's the last thing that was on my vision board. But it was a really interesting experience making that vision board because it was like a January, it was the beginning of the year kind of thing. And my sister came over and we just looked through magazines and we each made our own vision board. And I just kept cutting up pictures of anything that I liked. And when I put the vision board together, it was not what I expected it to be
Hmm.
because I knew we were going to move to a warmer climate. I knew I wanted land. But when I looked at the vision board, over half of the pictures had water in them, either a lake or a creek or a stream. And when I looked at that vision board, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to be near water. I didn't realize that was so important to me. And so doing those kinds of activities can reveal things about yourself that maybe you don't realize.
Mhm.
And so we did end up being near water because of that activity. So sometimes doing things like that can be illuminating and can reveal things that you may not know about yourself. So yeah, it's just cutting out pictures and words or experiences and putting them together in some type of a collage. Um, and I know there's like apps that you can use to do electronic vision boards now too. I've never tried any of those, but I've seen those and they look pretty cool too. Visualization for meditation, that's been a huge one for me. When I ran my first marathon, I spent months visualizing finishing the race because I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to finish it, which is because I hadn't been running for very long and I was plagued by injuries. And, didn't know if I was even going to be able to race, but I did end up finishing it. And it was even better than anything I could have imagined as far as the experience goes and the
Mm.
energy. And it was just beautiful. It was half raining. There was a rainbow. It was in the woods. It was an amazing experience. So
Sounds magical.
I couldn't even
Mhm.
visualize how wonderful it ended up being, which is pretty cool too.
When I was in graduate school, one of the things we talked about, and my graduate degree is in exercise physiology. So, so it's way off topic of what I do now, but they they talked a lot about in sports psychology about visualization and using visual like meditations for athletes who like wanted to improve their game or who had an injury and had to sit out, but they could still do the visualizations and still like increase their performance and or after an injury be able to like come back even better than they were or around the same spot that they were before the injury, all by doing this through their mind, which I think is absolute. I was fascinated by that. I wish we had studied that more.
I did that with a surgery I was going to have. I was going to
Ooh.
have a deviated septum repaired. And for probably about 6 weeks before the surgery, every night I would do a little meditation where I would guide myself through the whole process. Arriving at the hospital, the nurses are going to be very kind to me and make me feel very comfortable. And they're going to take really good care of me. And when they take me into the OR, I'm going to feel really relaxed and calm. And the doctor's going to talk to me and I'm going to go to sleep very easily. And when I wake up, I'm going to wake up and be alert and can communicate. So it's like I went through every little tiny detail night after night after night of what I wanted that to look like. And it worked. I had a very positive experience when I had that surgery.
Mm.
So it was
Oh, I love
just,
that.
yeah, it's like if you've got a big event, okay, let's do some visualization to figure out what I want that to look like. And maybe it won't look exactly like what you visualize, but you're bringing in that kind of energy, the energy of
Mhm.
having a positive experience.
And you're also setting expectations, like mental expectations of how the experience is going to go. And you're like priming and prepping and preparing your body, your nervous system, and your mind to
Mhm.
expect good things to happen. And I think that's safe to say that if you're doing the opposite, which is something that we tend to do kind of automatically without really putting intention behind it, right? When we're thinking like, oh, this is going to go bad, I'm going to do horrible, or this thing isn't going to go well. Like, what do? We self-fulfilling prophecy. We end up creating that thing, and the thing ends
Mhm.
up not going well exactly like we expected it to, right? Because we primed and prepared our body to expect the worst to happen. So if you prepare your body to expect the best to happen, imagine what's possible then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At the very least, you're going to go into the experience with a much more positive vibration, and you're going to attract a better experience. And yeah, the other thing I think that's important for manifesting is also just to be aware of your vibrational state and to work on having a consistently positive one, but not fake positive, not, not that toxic positivity, but really paying attention to yourself and giving yourself what you need in the moment, that self-care, that allowing me to feel my emotions, but also working through them so I can get to the other side, not holding on to grudges and anger for longer than is what is necessary to fully process. And just being aware of doing things that make you feel good. Exercising, eating well, getting out in nature, journaling, I mean, all the things. If you're doing those kinds of activities on a regular basis, you're going to have a higher vibration and you're going to be attracting good things into your life, probably a lot of things that you're not even trying to attract.
So it sounds to me like what we've been saying this whole time is it's never about the thing we're trying to manifest. It is always about putting ourselves in a position of joy, of love, and of gratitude. And when you're there, that's when things that you want or things that are meant for you can find you.
Well
Mhm.
said. I love it.
Yay. It's all about the inner world. You get yourself right there, else
Mhm.
is going to work out. Yeah, for sure.
So, just to recap on today's episode, it is not about the thing that you were trying to manifest. It is about putting yourself in a state of joy and gratitude, flow and surrender to allow the things that are meant for you to come in. And if we're going to put this in a quick framework for you, let's get clear about what it is that you do want and why you want it. And then from there, pay attention to where the triggers come in. Where's the pain point? Where do you feel jealous or insecure? Because those are clues of areas that need to be healed in order for you to remove that stagnant, energetic energy and remove it to clear the pathways for you to get what it is that is meant for you, what it is that you truly desire, and that is authentic to your soul. And then take sacred action. What is the next step that you need to take to help you move closer to this manifestation?
And so maybe this next week you try a little simple, easy manifestation. Do something like look for a heart-shaped cloud, look for a certain animal, pick something fun and easy and see if you can manifest that. And that will really get you on the right track.
Wow, 100 episodes in, and we're just getting started. Thank you all for being a part of this journey. Until next time.